You've probably caught on by now that the service is all about church, and all about why we go to church and who's at church, and that's what we'll be talking about for the next little bit. See, in our gospel reading, we find a group of approximately 120 lost souls. Now, that's not very much, because you see, there were thousands of people who had flocked to Jesus just before his death. And all that's left are 120 lost souls, leaderless, confused, and numbed with grief. And you can imagine the emotions of these people. You know, they've swung from the high, and they've gone all the way down to the low. I mean, you know, they had tremendous crowds of people, followers. Jesus had all kinds of miracles, and the teachings of this man was wonderful. They had hope for a new life. Everything was going so well, and then it was all shattered when Jesus died on the cross. For many of them, they just couldn't understand it. Jesus is gone. So many of the followers returned to their homes and to their families and to their jobs, saddened and really disillusioned. It's all over. Jesus' message in Act 1 was very clear. He said to all of those who follow me, do not leave Jerusalem. Stay together in prayer. Do not leave Jerusalem. Stay together in prayer as you wait for the promise of your Father and the strength of the Holy Spirit. This is the same message that we just read in Hebrews. And again, it says there, let us not give up meeting together, and let us consider how we may spur one another toward love and good deeds. See, Jesus knew that this new church that he had started, he'd been doing this for 3 years only, and he had a tremendous following of people. But he knew that everything would just fall apart unless the core people, stayed together. Now, he'd love to have had thousands of them stay together, but he knew that they wouldn't all stay. But he implored those people who are close to him, stay together in prayer. Otherwise, everything I have done for 3 years is lost. Stay together, pray together, grow together. And Jesus said, whenever 2 or more are gathered in my name, I will be there also. So they huddled together in fear, but they persisted in prayer. And 7 weeks after the resurrection of Jesus, 3,000 saved souls joined the Christian church on Pentecost. And millions more have joined the church today, all because those 120 people stayed and prayed. Stayed together and prayed together and started a new church. Well, Tommy arrived late for Sunday school. Tommy was never late for Sunday school, so the teacher asked, is everything okay, Tommy? Yes, he said, I thought I'd go fishing today, but my dad said that I should come to Sunday school. Well, that's nice, she said. Why do you think he said that? Well, Dad said there wasn't enough bait for 2 people. Well, we know what the father was going to do on Sunday morning. He was going fishing. And on every Sunday morning, there's a choice, isn't there? I can go to church or not. Jim and his wife, Barbara, got up on Sunday morning, and after breakfast, Barbara got dressed for church. And said it's almost time to leave, and she noticed that Jim wasn't dressed. Kind of perplexed, she said, well, Jim, what's going on? I don't feel like going to church today. Well, why not? Jim said, I have 3 reasons. The congregation's cold, nobody likes me, and the service is sometimes boring. Barbara replied, well, Jim, I've got 3 reasons why you're going to church. The congregation is warm, a few people like you, and you're the minister. There are many reasons why people choose not to go to church, but I'd like to dwell on the reasons why we should go to church. We were in the minority now, you know that. I was mentioning to a couple of people there earlier that as I drove into Harrow, it was blessed to see the first church. I was coming down from Essex and went to 18, and the first church had quite a few cars. And then I think the Anglican church was next, and quite a few cars there. What a blessing. Because we're in the minority, you know that. Unfortunately, at one time period, it was a majority of people who attended church, but now it's a minority. And I think it's vital that we can articulate to people around us and people we know why we come to church. Because we don't want to lose this, and we can't dare lose the teachings of Jesus. I mean, he said, stay and pray. And he had 120 people, and they started this fabulous church. We can't let it disappear. I think to have a strong and lasting faith, I believe there are three fundamental pillars that we have to prop up our faith throughout our lives. And I think it's personal prayer. And some people will say, well, I can do that at home. He said personal prayer. Sure you can. But oh, it feels good with a group of people. It feels so good with a group of people. And you can have Bible study. You can do that yourself. You can do it at home. But oh, it's so great to be with a group of people and to listen and to hear what other people are saying and feeling about that same passage that you're thinking and feeling about. But I think the last thing is you have to share your faith with other Christians. So I think there are three things: personal prayer, Bible study, and sharing your faith. To me, if you've got those three, you can bounce around through life quite all right. They'll hold you strong and true. I guess think about it. If you have a three-legged stool and just one of the legs is functioning, you can't stay on that stool unless you're really, really athletic. If you have two legs of the stool functioning, you still have a lot of trouble staying up. You need all three of the legs of the stool, all three of those basic things to keep your faith strong and true. And I think the Bible is quite clear that why we come to church. Very clearly, to encounter God. God should be here in this church. You should feel it. And then you need all of these people out here to help you, to strengthen you, to keep your faith. Two fundamental reasons to come to church. And it's a mutual benefit. If I come, you help me. Psalm 84 that we went through just a minute ago is really, really a neat psalm. Very passionate words. They said, how do you encounter God? My soul longs, indeed it faints to be in the presence of God. My heart and my flesh sing for joy to the living God. See, it's a passionate call to honor, to praise, to thank, and to be with God. A church, a group of Christians that longs, indeed faints, to be in the presence of God. A church whose heart and flesh sings for joy to the living God has a wonderful rhythm that you can feel. I haven't been to all the churches in the county or in the city, but I've been to a number. You can feel, not all the churches, but fortunately a number of the churches, you can feel that rhythm within the church. When asked, what is your secret of being married for 55 years? Jerry said, Ruth and I are happily incompatible. And I kind of took that little thing and I said, okay, think about it. I believe that despite our differences, like we all have differences in thoughts and age and looks, jobs, all kinds of background and that sort of a thing, we're all different. But despite all that, we as a church can be happily incompatible. Can't we? It's a group of people. We can all fit together so nicely.